Okay, the homework assignment is if you go to the Blackboard, and there's a link of the homework assignment, right? Just click this link. By the way, this homework assignment link, it's really like any assignment that related to, it's pretty much R, and like, you know, I mean, any assignment that does not require the mind tab, because many of the homework assignment from now, I mean, in the week 3 or maybe week number 4, a lot of assignment will be given through the mind tab. But you know, some of the assignment, like you know this one, right? You know, we don't use the mind tab. So I create a link called homework and assignment. So click this link, and when you click this link here, right, for the homework 1 description, right, you will see this. Okay. Okay, so this is your homework assignment. There is what? There is 5 problems. Okay. And first, okay, so this is like a first is sample problem, right? So let's take a look at the sample problem. Create a sequence of values, meaning that sequence of values means what? Create a vector, right? So basically, you need to create a vector. And by the way, this square bracket means it's a topic, right? So now I'm talking, so this is like a topic area. So create a sequence of integer values, which means a vector, from 1 to 100. So this is inclusive. And I said, by the way, this is a sample problem. And display the result and store it in an object variable called foo. Okay? So, so I ask you to display the result and store it in an object called foo. So that means you have to create a foo, right? So now let's do this homework assignment. This is how you do your homework assignment. Anything related to R. Okay, so let's just open a new script, new file, and R script. Okay, so this is my new file. And I said the foo, right? So foo, because I said store it in an object called foo. By the way, if I just say store, right? And if I do not specify any variable name, then you can store it you can use any variable name you want to, right? Or you can say, you know, Kevin, or like foo2, foo100, is up to you. But in this case, I said foo, right? And 1 to 100, right? So there's a couple of ways you can do this, right? Let's say foo, you can say what? You can use the function called sequence, right? And then from is equal to 1, and then 2 is equal to what? Oops, is 100, right? Oops, I think I made a mistake here, so I have to say 100, right? So 2 is equal to 100, right? So this is like one way. And so when you run this, and then I said what? Display, right? So you have to display foo, right? And then run the second command, run. Yes. So this is what? This is the display, right? So for your answer, right? So I said, no, for your answer, what you have to do is to provide the answer, just go to RStudio, right? And this is the command that you just did to solve the problem, the sample problem, right? And just copy, right? Just copy and then paste, right? So this is your answer, and this is how you should do your assignment. Okay. Any question? Okay. And then this one is the first problem is write R expression for the following mathematical equation, right? So you just write this in R, right? And let's say in R, like for example, I mean this is like 10 to the 5th, right? So in R, I think it's 10 to the what? Okay, so I think it's better. Like for example, let's say just this, right? 10 to the 5th. And in R, the 10 to the 5th is, I think it's 10 to the fifth, right? Right. So, you know, yeah, just cut and paste. But of course, you have to complete the rest, right? And then number 2, consider the following 2 vectors. So you have A and B vector, right? So A is basically is 1, 1, 1, 1. And B is 10 to all the way to 14. So for example, the B, right? It's, okay, you know what? Let's just finish this. Okay, you know what? Okay, A, it's what? C and 1, 1, 1, 1, right? And the B is 10 and 14. Oops, sorry. 10 and 14. And then if you want to see B, okay? So let's just click A and then B, right? So basically B is 10 to 14 inclusive, right? So that's a B. And when you execute A plus B, right? When you execute A plus B, when I run this, let's run this, and you will see this warning message. Although you see the result, right? You see this warning message. And please explain why, just briefly explain why you are getting this warning message. Okay, think about it. And then problem number 3 is to create a sequence of integer value from 10 to 55 inclusive that progresses in the steps of 5. Okay, and this one display the result and store in an object called foo1. Okay, so this time you need to create a vector, right? From 10 to 55 inclusive, but in the steps of 5. So it's going to be 10, 15, 20, 25, and etc. Right? So just run this using the RStudio, right? And then what? Cut and paste, and show me the result. Along with the R expression, of course. It's not just the answer, along with your R expression, of course. Okay, and then problem number 5. Create a vector which repeats this vector twice, with each element repeat 3 times. Okay, and then display the result and store the. Okay, this time this is a little bit tricky because. Okay, you can. I mean, for this you can use only one R expression, right? Right. But you have to display the result sorted from the largest to smallest. Okay, so that means you have to use a sort functions. Okay, so please show the R code as well as the result, right? And like for example, this is the expressions, right? And then what? And this is your result, right? So just copy and paste. Remember, display the result sorted from the largest to smallest. So you probably need two lines of code, right? The first line is you need to create the vector, and then second line you have to use the sort functions. So you need to have 2 lines, and then finally the problem number 5. And this is something we did. I just changed the words. So create the stores a vector that contains the following in this order, right? You can store the result in a new object variable called foo1. And only difference is I asked you to use foo1. Oh, you know what? I think it's better to use foo10. Because the foo1 I used in the problem number 3. So I'll just change to foo10. Okay. Okay, so basically the sequence of length from 1 to 3 inclusive, and then 2-fold repetition of vector. This is exactly this problem, but this time I even make this problem simpler. I eliminate the last element, right? So you see how this problem is exactly this problem. Exercise problem 2.4. Okay?
Professor?
Yes.
What does inclusive mean exactly?
Okay, inclusive means like when I say 3, okay, for example, so when I say, oops, sorry. So when I say, okay, so when I say 3 to 6 inclusive, sometimes when I say from 3 to 6, if I do not put the inclusive, you know, it could be like 4 and 5, right? However, when I put the inclusive, meaning that please include 3 and 6. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's inclusive.
Got it.
Okay. And okay, so basically that's okay. The part B is extract the first and third elements of your vector from A, right? And store them in a new object called foo2. No, let's just make foo20. And this is like foo30. Just make sure that you don't use the same variable. You know, somewhere here you probably use foo2 or foo3. It's possible, right? So I just said foo20. Just so that you know there will be no identical variable name. Okay. So let's save it. Okay, so that means extract the first and third elements, right? And this one is extract the first and last element of your vector from A. So storing them a new object in the foo3. We talk about this subsetting technique today, right? So this is like, you know, this is like what? We talk about the subsetting, right? Today, right? In my lecture. So after, right? After you create the vector from A, so you'll have a vector, right? And all those results is in the foo10. So now the B asks you to, okay, so please display the first and third elements, right? So display the first and third elements. And then maybe you should use this, I guess, right? And then extract the first and last element, right? I mean, if this is not really a big vector, right? If the result from A is not really big vector, you can count, right? You can count the number of elements in a vector so that you know the index of the last element, right? However, we learned about what? We also learned about this technique, right? Length. You can also use this technique as well, but it's up to you. You can count all the count the number of elements in the vector to display the last element, or you can use this length functions to display the last element. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm done with the explain this homework assignment. And by the way, in the and then please do this homework assignment using the Word and RStudio, right? And then you can submit. You can submit either for the submissions. You can use either Word. You can submit a Word file, or when you save it, file and save as PDF file, right? So either for the submission, you can submit either Word file or PDF file, right? It's up to you. And then soon, I'm going to create a submission link, okay? And then I'm going to create submission link. Okay, so I'm done. Any questions about this homework assignment?
When's the due date?
The due date is due by next Tuesday midnight. Okay, hold on. Okay, so any questions about this homework assignment? Okay, you know what? I'm done.